Hello again. Appointing a woman as head of the Metropolitan Police a few years ago was a purely political decision. The police force would look better, it was thought, with a woman at the top. It would help shed the slightly aggressive image that the Metropolitan Police have sometimes had over the years. It is quite possible that this will become a tradition, in the way that the post of Home Secretary is now increasingly occupied by women rather than men. It's all about image rather than ability. There are rumours that when the present commissioner steps down, the intention will be to appoint somebody from a visible minority, if anybody of the right calibre can be found. This may prove tricky. Many organisations, not only the police, but ordinary businesses, now feel that they must recruit their staff to reflect the community, as the modern jargon has it. This is race balancing. At least 15% of the staff must be black or belong to other visible minorities. This is easy enough for staff at the bottom, those doing routine office work, sweeping the floors and so on. But this is being noticed and vociferously objected to. One company recently claimed that its staff numbers reflected the community, until somebody pointed out that the only black people employed there were cleaners and security guards. Ouch, massive fail there. As a result, some organisations, including the police in London, are now committed to race balancing not just at the lower levels, but in senior officers too. Lloyds Bank, whose advertisements invariably feature black people these days, has declared its intention of having at least 13% of its senior staff being black and Asian within 4 years. I give a link to this pledge in the description to this video. The difficulty is that in order to keep commitments of this kind, companies, as well as public bodies like the police, judiciary and so on, need to promote black people regardless of their ability. Obviously, if junior officers and staff had the natural ability, they would have risen up the ladder as a matter of routine. One observes that the supposed systemic racism about which we hear so much does not seem to hinder Indians and Chinese people from getting to senior positions. It's only Caribbeans and Africans that seem to experience the institutional racism that critical race theory teaches us about. The problem which then arises is that if you promote people simply because they are black, they may not be up to the job. It would be just the same if you decided to promote people due to their red hair or the fact that they had freckles or any other random physical characteristic. It is not a good way of going about things. The level of melanin in a person's skin will not give you any idea whether or not they're going to be able to do a particular job. Promotions of this sort often do not end well. One cannot help but notice that cases of minorities who have advanced rapidly through the ranks of the police and judiciary seem to have a habit of getting into various pickles. The latest such was, of course, Robin Williams, the black woman who was an acting chief superintendent in the police. Until her fall from grace, she was being talked about as a candidate for the top job in the Metropolitan Police. Unfortunately, she was convicted the year before last of an offence relating to child pornography and sacked. Her sister sent her and 17 other people on a WhatsApp group a clip of some awful sexual activity involving a child. She wanted Williams to track down the man in the short film. Williams did not report this to the police on the grounds that she didn't even know that the clip was on her phone. The jury at the Old Bailey thought that she was lying about this and convicted her. She appealed, but her appeal was dismissed, whereupon she was sacked from the police. So far, so good. Then, of course, the accusations of racism began. If 17 other people had received this clip of sexual activity involving a child, How come that only Superintendent Williams, her sister, and her sister's boyfriend, who started the thing by sending the clip to his girlfriend in the first place, how come only those three ended up at the Old Bailey? Why only 3 black people charged over this incident? The answer is simple and has nothing to do with race. Every one of those other 17 people who were sent that clip either deleted it from their phones or reported it to the police. Superintendent Williams did neither of those things and so was convicted of possessing the image. I know nothing about the case other than what I've seen in the newspapers, but I have certainly formed my own opinion about how honest and truthful Williams is. I may be wrong about this. This is a personal view. She appealed against being sacked from the police and amazingly has been reinstated. The Metropolitan Police now have a senior officer who is on the sex offenders register. Surely not something which would have happened in the old days. My own opinion is founded on something which Superintendent Williams said after her sacking had been reversed. She told journalists, "For over a year before and during the pandemic, I have continued to support local people by working within community initiatives." Oh, that would be voluntary work after she lost her job, one supposes. But wait, at her trial at the Old Bailey, she was sentenced to 200 hours of community work. This was a punishment imposed upon her for the possession of child pornography. Surely she's not citing the community work which she undertook between November 2019, when she was convicted, and the beginning of the pandemic in the spring of 2020 as part of what she calls supporting local people by working in community initiatives. This would be a truly breathtaking piece of cheek. I have a terrible suspicion that the next Commissioner of Police for the Metropolis is likely to be somebody whose career through the ranks has been artificially accelerated and will turn out to be something of a disaster for the capital.